Let's Talk Development, Season 3, Episode 7.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Adil Tariq and I am an assistant professor of economics at the Lahore University of Management Sciences. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Development, which is a podcast series run jointly by the IGC and the CDPR. We have a very esteemed guest with us today, Professor Dr. Nasir Iqbal from the Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, PIDE. He is an associate professor there. He is an economist with over 18 years of experience in policy research, governance, teaching. He has an exemplary record of designing and implementing evidence-based policy solutions, including the NSER, which is the National Socioeconomic Registry, which is used for BISP, जो बेनज़ीर income support program है. And he conducts highly impactful national level evaluations. He has collaborated extensively with international organizations such as the IGC, IFPRI, and many more. And he's like one of the pivotal figures who is shaping the socioeconomic landscape in Pakistan's policy space. So very honored to have you here. It's a pleasure to be talking to you, Dr. Nasir. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for the introduction.
Gigi. So let's start. Let's dive into our topic today. So our theme is the role of ultra-poor graduation programs in building resilience to climate shocks. So if I may, obviously, Dr. Nasir, आप इसके expert हैं, but my understanding is this is not really my core area. I'm an econometrician working in productivity analysis and small markets. But ultra poor graduation जो है इसका मतलब होता है कि जो सबसे गरीब लोग होते हैं, the poorest, उनको आप किस तरह उस poverty level से निकाल सकते हैं. So that's my understanding of it. So अगर आप मुझे बताएं कि what is basically these sort of poverty graduation programs. Pakistan के अंदर obviously national poverty graduation program है NPGP. So I think it would be good for the viewers, our audience, if you could provide some context कि ये जो NPGP है, ये क्या है, ये कब से चल रहा है, अगर थोड़ा इसका context दे दें, then we can dive into your research in this.
Yeah, thank you so much. When we talk about the poverty, there are various initiatives that meant to eradicate poverty, as we all promise to clear poverty from all dimensions by 2030. So the one of the objective of a different intervention is to uplift these people, those are below the poverty line. And there are various interventions. As the one example is you gave a unconditional cash transfer. The best example for us is the BISP. That meant to some kind of consumption support, but it's not about to uplift them. It's mainly aiming to sustain their current level rather than going further down. But on the other hand, there are well-researched, well-executed program, that what we call graduation program. Graduation program is a kind of a livelihood support to these ultra-poor people with some kind of hand-holding. These programs are meant to create a resilience, to generate additional income through the asset transfer or the skill development or any intervention, and to integrate within the value chain. So these are the component of the program that what we call the graduation program. If you remember, it was started from with the name of BRAC, a very famous model.
Right.
Trusted this asset transfer program to uplift these people. Then there is a various evaluation across the globe, including Pakistan, where they tested at the very upfront in 2006-07, and the evidence was very supportive. Subsequently, based on those evidence, the government of Pakistan, with the help of a donor agency that called IFAD, is starting a national poverty graduation program. The national poverty graduation program is meant to uplift ultra poor from the status of poverty to a non-poor status with the help of asset transfer, skill development, and integration within the value chain. So it's a comprehensive program where you can say that on the one hand, providing consumption smoothing support, and on the other hand, asset transfer or any other kind of support to uplift or to generate a new economic activities. And these economic activities basically is for the uplift of the people.
Right. And thank you so much for that. Was, I think, a very clear and concise explanation. So what I'm understanding is that, programs like BISP So they're more in the realm of social protection and welfare, like short-term measure hai. And then these sort of programs are essentially to take them out of, they're more permanent and long-term. So आप लोगों को, like you and your co-authors, what motivated you to, study the, obviously you have a lot of expertise in this, but आपने इस पे research क्यों की? What was the motivation, especially in the context of, climate shocks, such as floods, जो unfortunately we're in the midst of like some of the worst flooding in Pakistan's history. तो अगर आप ये मुझे context बताएं कि इस आपने context में क्यों इसको study किया?
आई थिंक अगर हम ब्रैक पे या जितने भी ऐसे ट्रांसफर उनकी एविडेंस देखें तो दे वर इम्प्लीमेंटेड इन अ स्मूथ environment. But when we talk about the Pakistan, we are highly vulnerable country. और जब 2020 में ये नेशनल ग्रेजुएशन प्रोग्राम इम्प्लीमेंट किया जा रहा था तो उस वक्त भी एक ऐसा इन्वायरमेंट था कि यू कांट प्रेडिक्ट अ वेरी हैवी फ्लडिंग और द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. बट जब ये एक्सपेंशन पे जा रहा था देन इन 2022 देयर वाज मैसिव फ्लडिंग. और जो ये पूरे का पूरा प्रोग्राम है इट्स लाइक एसेट ट्रांसफर, इट्स अ हाईली एग्री ड्रिवन प्रोग्राम in terms of hand holding of the asset, in terms of feeding the asset that they are providing, or in terms of the look after. So all these link with the climate issue. So what we feel that if the program is meant to create a resilience among the ultra poor, then it must be sustained. Otherwise, any natural shock would have a negative implication for any kind of poor people because they are now currently being uplifted with this program. But what happened with them if any kind of shock like flood would occur? That's motivate us to look into the resilience part of this entire episode, entire asset transfer program, because that's where we can contribute into the literature by saying that if it is
Right.
a sustained model, then definitely we can say okay. But if the additional refinement are required, that would definitely what we are suggesting to Government of Pakistan.
And Pakistan is a unique setting for that, जिस तरह आपने कहा है. But मैं आपका पढ़ रहा था, I was going through your research और आपका focus I think South Punjab पे भी है. तो any reason के South Punjab पे specifically आप लोगों ने क्यों focus किया? पाकिस्तान की तो मुझे समझ आ गई.
Initially, the program was implemented across all 4 provinces, and we assumed to expand this study for all across the Pakistan. But due to the financial constraint and the reviewer feedback, we limited this to the one region. That's what we call the South Punjab, and these are the highly vulnerable area. In two ways.
Right, of
One,
course.
they are affected by the flood. Look at the Liya, look at the Jang, look at the Diji Khan. They are highly.
अभी जिस तरह हो रहा है, exactly, absolutely.
Secondly, they are highly poor areas, so that's why we focus on this area.
Makes sense. So let's maybe talk about some of your initial results, जो आपके descriptive results थे. So what were the most significant improvements that you observed among the NPGP beneficiaries who were not affected by the floods?
Yeah, the initial what we are feeling, the program is meant to create a long-term sustainability and long-term income generation. But our initial finding that what we come up with the analysis that they start coping with the current need. For example, clothing, for example, utility, for example, the current food needs. These were their motive to address. Why these were super important? Because the period that we were studying is highly inflationary period.
Right. Makes
Where
sense.
that is one of the key finding to me is in this the time when there was inflation was around 20, 30 or more than.
Yes.
The program really provide a useful incentive for these people to adjust their consumption needs.
Makes sense. So maybe instead of thinking of the long-term permanent benefits, because the current scenario was so bad in terms of inflation, they focus more on that currently, like you said. Makes sense.
And what we are now analyzing in the next round of this evaluation for the medium-term impact, where we assume and perceive that then now they would have some impact on the assets, on the education, on
right.
These are the real indicator that make you
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes sense. And you obviously have to wait for some time for those findings to come through, for that
Yeah.
impact to come through. Makes sense. Acha, Dr. Nasser, your study shows that this was very interesting, right? That livestock assets turned into liabilities during floods. So could you walk us through why that happens and what households experienced?
Yeah, that's the key finding that emerged from our two type of analysis. One is the
Right.
qualitative, another quantitative. Both are complementing each other. The cost of livestock in term of look after is much
Mm.
higher during the flood time because it depends on the agriculture, and the agriculture is destroyed with these floods. And what are
Right.
the alternative? The cost is in two way. One, the involvement of the human resources to
Right.
look after animal. Another is the feed that
Right.
emerge from agriculture. So it become a liability during the time of crisis. And
Mm.
I was discussing with a few others that what are the alternative mode they use to look after these animals during flood. They have the alternative, but in our case, we are still lacking in that type of arrangement.
Right. That's very interesting. And obviously, for this target segment, livestock is essentially उनके assets सारे होते ही यही हैं. So it's actually
Yeah.
that the impact is very strong. That's very interesting. So I mean, staying on this for a bit. So were there any coping strategies that you observed that the households used during floods, which stood out in terms of either resilience or further vulnerability? आपने बात की कि आपने लोगों से बात की थी जो होती हैं strategy. So anything that specifically that stood out?
I think that the interesting part now they become more aware. That's the key finding for me that you become part of the system.
Right.
One of the key like insight for me from these programs that these people start becoming the part of the system. Now they have the
Right.
CNC to some extent. They have the financial inclusion in terms of either easy
Right.
paisa, a bank account, integration with the other communities in a way that you have to register, you have to go to the
Right.
office like that. So that kind of integration would be a very useful for developing a society. So now they have a societal support in terms of making adjustment.
Mm.
Of course, now they have additional income. They can sell the asset. They can take a loan based on the asset that they have. To some extent, they improve the financial asset in terms of some saving, either intention to save, either to enhance the existing savings. So these are the parameters that really help them to like it. Then they don't need to sell the asset. Those are the daily use. Previously,
Right.
the first choice is to sell whatever they have in the house, but now they have additional assets that can be used as a
Right.
productive asset, as a liquidating asset, whatever we call it.
Right. That's very interesting. So maybe we can again the I think the focus of this podcast and generally these sort of talks is to keep it more general and more accessible for a general audience. But I think it would be remiss if we don't talk about at least briefly your methodology because I really like that. Again, I'm an econometrician, तो आपने regression discontinuity design उसमें बड़ी अच्छी तरह उसको use किया है. We can talk about that, but it was a mixed methods approach. आपने साथ qualitative findings भी combine की है. And in research, obviously, you know this better than me that there are limitations to both types of research, qualitative, quantitative. आपका जो जिस तरह आपने RDT design use किया है उससे आपकी you got the causal results, but then there are some deeper insights which talking to people you can't really you can't get that from quantitative studies. So maybe you could talk a bit about that कि how did this आपने लोगों ने किस तरह डिसाइड किया कि मिक्स मेथड्स हम यूज करेंगे एंड देन हाउ डिड दैट हेल्प यू कैप्चर बोथ द इकोनॉमिक एंड द ह्यूमन साइड ऑफ द प्रोग्राम्स इम्पैक्ट.
Yeah, I think that when we were designing this study, it was back in 2021, and we first like approached the ministry about the availability of the admin data. So
Right.
then they share the list of the complete beneficiaries as well as the non-beneficiaries, and they use a continuous score, what they call poverty scorecard, to define the eligibility. And that's basically the admin data would enable us to apply what you just said, this the RDT design.
जी
Because
right
for that we need a running variable. Based on that, you can decide the cutoff. Below the cutoff, you can make them eligible, and if you are above the cutoff, those are not eligible. Of course, we
right
plan
right
to the ideal RCT where you have the the comparable group with the same kind of
Right.
poverty scorecard. But this is the another second best possibility that we
Right.
go for this RDD approach with the
Right.
help of the Edmund data. Secondly, as you already stated, it, our idea was to go deep into the factor that really
Right.
help them to sustain. Because what we are trying to understand, if they don't have that program, then what happened to them?
Yes.
That was
Yes.
the question to us. What happened to them if they don't have that program? That we cannot figure out with this the help of simply
Yes.
RDD. For that, we are thank to the IDC. They supported us the field work where we collected data massively from around 150 interviews we conducted across the
Right.
districts with the help of a local sport, where we also tried to look into the case studies where there are positive case studies, negative case studies, to come up with a very clear picture about the. Because one of the questions from the ministry to us was, what happened with those people, those fall again below the poverty line,
Right.
despite
Right.
having this sport. And to
Yeah.
answer this the best option for us to use this mixed method approach.
Right. Right. Makes sense. Makes sense. So I think let's maybe talk about some of the more big picture policy implications. So based on your findings, what changes would you suggest to make asset transfer programs like the NPGP more climate resilient? क्योंकि आपने obviously सारी चीजें अब देखी अपनी research में.
आई थिंक हमारी जो फाइंडिंग्स हैं, हम दो लेवल पे गवर्नमेंट के साथ इस वक्त डिस्कशन में हैं.
जी.
पहले तो ये है कि हम जो प्रोग्राम की बेस पे जो लाइफ स्टॉक है, अभी उतना प्रॉफिटेबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट नहीं रहा जितना आज से 20 साल पहले था. हम जो उनके साथ डिस्कशन में हैं कि द गवर्नमेंट शुड डाइवर्सिफाई द नेचर ऑफ इंटरवेंशन. Like, there are various mode, like e-commerce is there, AI is there. You can have any kind of smart business, and the people really can do like packaging, like any kind of other intervention that they help them to come up with a new intervention. And to apply that intervention, we propose a village economic zone concept to ministry, just on the concept of like there are special economic zone where there is a integration of all kind of stakeholders within under the same umbrella.
Right.
But we propose them to establish this village economic zone by using public infrastructure available in each village. In
Okay.
terms of, we have the school building, we have a basic health unit there,
Right.
and they are vacant after 2 p.m. And
Right.
those
Right.
public infrastructure could be translated into a smart market after 2 p.m. And
Right.
the school can earn some kind of rent, and that they can use for the renovation of the school as well. And secondly, that place is convenient to all the village people because they have indirectly or directly access to that school, either
Right. Right.
either through other means, so they can easily approach there. And second, that could be act as a source of hub where the rural urban connectivity can be enhanced. So that's the first proposal that we have to them. Secondly, when we talk about the if they are stick with the asset transfer in terms of the livestock, but we propose them to introduce a insurance, especially to cater the flood and other natural shock, because these are highly vulnerable to climate shock, and it would
Right.
be hard for the poor people to provide them the shelter. And one of the point that we discussed in the last conference held at Law School of Economics, that they can be during flood or during climatic change, the government can develop a smart shelter to give them a quick relief to these households. So this is another area where government can think on based on the study that what we have.
Very interesting. Very interesting. I think आप insurance की बात करें, other ideas could be like veterinary services for the animals, food infrastructure programs. So I think that's very smart, and that's I think like a good strategy. के अभी it's like these people have all of their eggs in one basket. के flood आया सब कुछ बर्बाद हो गया. So just आप कह रहे हैं कि you have like these fallback measures. आप उनको साथ आप complementary interventions way. So I think that's really brilliant. So maybe like just generally looking ahead, so how do you see these poverty, आपने जिस specifically भी बात की कुछ advice थी, लेकिन how do you see them evolving these poverty alleviation strategies in the future, where climate shocks are expected to become even more frequent and intense? Climate change is very real. We're seeing the effects of it, unfortunately, right now. So it does look like it's only going to get worse, unfortunately. So how do you see the landscape changing? Do you think either will adapt?
This is a very valid question, and we had a discussion with the ministry because now they are
Hmm.
developing in a 5 years national poverty action plan to address this poverty because the numbers is showing a very high poverty despite these social protection program. And this is one of the questions that I have with these social protection agencies, that what happened with these social protection program if the poverty is going up rather than massive increase of these social protection initiatives. So we have to revisit this entire approach of the poverty alleviation program. But I propose to them is maybe it's too early to translate the entire concept to a market-based phenomena, where
Right.
we propose them rather than giving them this government support in terms of cash, in terms of the livestock, give them the opportunities.
Right.
Opportunity mean develop the infrastructure,
Right.
develop the markets over there. Like one of the market, as I suggested, village economics soon. These
Right.
markets would create an ecosystem where
Right.
there
Right.
are linkages between the end user and the supplier. Currently, that is completely missing despite having all these social protection program. Look at the
Right.
BISP. They are giving like a cash transfer to more than 10 million beneficiaries.
Exactly.
And under this national poverty graduation program, they are trying to expand up to 50 districts from 25 to 50 districts. But what
Right.
happens if they expand up to 50 districts and they increase the BISP to 20 million, more than that? What happened? Because the
Right.
poverty is not a phenomenon that could be addressed with these transfer. You can support them.
Right.
Of course, direct cash is a best strategy during crisis like we have the flood. The best solution for government or any kind is to give them the direct cash. Similarly, if there is a rural economy, the livestock is the best option. But
Right.
no, it's not a rural economy. If we look into the landscape of even our rural areas, like a semi-urban area, there is
Right.
more rural area in Pakistan. So now we have to translate or change the approach in terms of uplifting our people. The best part is to create an opportunities to develop smart markets over there at the valley level and ask people to come and do the business. For doing a, if they need any kind of support, either
Right.
in terms of training,
Training. That's
in terms of financial support, the infrastructure would be there.
right.
Like
Right.
they need a financial support, infrastructure would be there. If they want to, they need any kind of a training, our technical institution should be there. So then this ecosystem would transform the entire society into a highly
Right.
society.
No, I think that's Dr. Nasir, that's really interesting. And जिस तरह आपने पहले भी कहा था, the base of that infrastructure is already laid out because Pakistan has like an extensive mapping of CNIC registration. आप जिस तरह आपने कहा है, मतलब जितने लोगों की यहाँ पे है, अब आपका जो ये tools like Easy Paisa, microfinance आपका आ गया है. People in villages, have these tools as well. You obviously you will need to think about your broadband infrastructure. That will be key. But I think जो core है, that is already in place and it's expanding. So once आप सही कह रहे हैं कि rather than just the older days that you teach a man how to fish and they're set for life. So it's I think that's what I'm hearing from you, कि उनको rather than के handouts देना वो करना. Of course that's important. That's very important. It's better for support. But like in the long term it would be even better for them if you make opportunities, train them. So I think that's very insightful. So maybe let's talk about आप जो findings थी आपने both qualitative and quantitative. So which groups would you say, like let's say women, children, small farmers, who are most affected by these climate disasters? Like you were just stepping back from just like the NPGP, but और ये आप उसकी भी बात कर सकते हैं. कोई आपने इसका नोटिस किया कि जो सबसे ज्यादा ग्रुप वल्नरेबल था?
आई थिंक जो दो चीज़ें मैंने ऑब्जर्व की, एक तो वो लोग ज़्यादा वल्नरेबल हैं फ्लडिंग की वजह से जिनको एक्सेस नहीं है the market, access to the road, access to infrastructure, because they don't have any alternative, and they stick with the existing environment. That's where the damages would occur. If you have some kind of access, you can quickly relocate yourself to the other people. And second, what I feel, I was talking a small kid sitting in the village, who is the poor in your area, and why you call that the poor?
Right.
The simple answer that the ones who don't have any income generating activity. So they are not talking about the anything else, but they are talking about the opportunity to generate income activities. So if we go for that, and that's where I said the old, the women and the kids, they need special protection, and we should provide. And it is the responsibility of state to look after them. But other than that, we just need to give them the opportunities to create a culture of work rather than to create a culture of aid. So that's the way we
Exactly. Makes sense. Absolutely. So maybe just to finish this off, last question. या इसको टू pronged हम क्वेश्चन कर देते हैं कि one like major finding or something that you would focus on from your research, and one key takeaway उससे related ही जो आप policy makers को, अगर आपके पास if you have the people who could make the biggest impact in Pakistan, if you could give them one single piece of advice, and एक जो आप अपनी सारी research पे से एक finding जिस पे आप focus करना चाहे. So maybe we could end with that.
मैंने पिछले काफी अरसे से social protection पे research किया है. The key finding that they are not resilient, and we must accept this.
Right.
And for that, we have to create another model that is a market-based model. And for the government, and I said this at the very high level forum when I talk about the ministries and the minister at the federal.
Yes.
I ask them, these programs are not resilient, and we have to transform into an economy, into a society that believe on work, that believe on market economy, and the government is meant to create an enabling environment. Let's start a very small economic zone at the village level. That's the concept I am pushing at the federal ministry. And we have to convert this public infrastructure, those are schools, public rural BHUs, into a market hub. And then the Punjab government is actually doing something on these lines in terms of developing a smart bazaar and smart market those are at the urban hub.
Urban hubs, right.
We have to create these opportunities at the rural level rather than forcing them to have this cow, to have this goat, then that scales. Ask them, this is the market where you can establish your business.
Right.
And we are here to support your business. And this is all about giving them the loan rather than the aid.
Absolutely. I think एक मुझे आपकी जो बहुत अच्छी भी बात लगी थी, like you said, the role of the government, and I completely, मेरी भी philosophy है, is to create an enabling environment, right? The government is not supposed to go in and के जाके हाथ पकड़ के चीज़ों को सही करे. उनका काम होता है कि एक enabling environment बनाए, and then let the market do its thing. Of course उसमें काफ़ी caveats होते हैं, but I think that's true, and that's I think I completely agree. That's wonderful advice. So this was such a wonderful talk for me as well. So it was so knowledgeable. आपकी जो बातें हैं सारी, it was an immensely wonderful experience. Thank you so much, Dr. Nasir Iqbal, for doing this. Thank you so much.
Please subscribe so you never miss a podcast, and comment below who you would like to see next.